Hey everybody, welcome back to the Matt Report. Today, joined by past guest, Bob Dunn, good friend of mine, of course. Bob, welcome to the program, sir.
Hey, glad to be here again. It's been an interesting beginning of the year, but looking forward to it.
Nice. We're gonna talk about some of that stuff today. If folks who don't know who Bob Dunn is, he's very well known in the WordPress space as a WordPress educator, trainer, and speaker at various WordCamps across the country. And as always, you can subscribe to Matt Reports, mattReport.com/subscribe. That'll get you on the mailing list where I send absolutely no email. Funny as that goes. Hopefully I can change that in 2016. So I just one of those moments where, the first email I send out on MailChimp for 2016, I'm going to get like this swath of unsubscribers because they're going to be like, who the hell are you? But I promise that going into 2016, I'll get some better emails out there. I'll get more consistent emails out there, things that matter to you. Not that I haven't done that in the past, but anyway, I'll get off that rant. MattReport.com/subscribe. Search for us in iTunes. It's Matt Report. Or you might be able to find me as well as WordPress Podcast. Leave us a 5-star review. Helps us get found. Everyone says it. Every podcast under the sun says it because it is oh so true. That the better rankings, the better stars, the higher we raise in the ratings, which gets found. So that'd be awesome. Today's title, Bob and I were just throwing darts at the board before the show started, is how can a WordPress educator or blogger make money in this space, right? So you're not a developer, you're not a designer, you're not even a real WordPress consultant in the sense, but you're helping people learn the software and the various pieces of software around the WordPress ecosystem. You're educating folks, you're training them, or you're writing reviews. Reviews is something that Bob is starting to do. I'm actually starting to look at it in my business. But before we get to that, Bob, welcome back to the program. What's going on in your world, sir? You recently moved, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting, right? Between actually Christmas and New Year's, we moved to a small community in Washington State called Ocean Shores. So we are actually, we're probably about less than a mile from the beach, and I'm loving it. We lived here 20 odd years ago and back, so just finally settled in. Moving's always a joy in itself. So now I'm ready to. I've been getting back into things. Got a little behind on stuff, but I'm ready to go in the new year.
Yeah, that's awesome. My brother just moved out to Seattle, and I remember telling you about it, and like, hey, he's in Seattle. He's what was it called, Market Street, I believe, and you were like, yeah, that's great, but I just moved 3 hours away.
Yeah, but I will be back, and I'm going to meet up with him for sure. That'll be cool.
Nice. So are you gonna when the WordCamp Seattle happens? Are you actually gonna attend it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I have a few workshops. 1 or 2 workshops left to do, and I'm going to go up to, I do go to the WooCommerce meetup. I'm co-organizer there. So, it's a drive, but I still want to kind of connect with people. So I don't mind, a couple times a month driving to Seattle and having coffee with people, going to meetups, whatever. So I'll still be going up there.
Yeah. Awesome. Let's dive into this topic today. It's how can WordPress educators or bloggers make money in this space? Sort of let's us two old guys roll up our sleeves and say, I remember the days when we were making hand over fist money, and I didn't have enough room under my mattress to store all this money.
Yeah, all right.
So let's start with where you've taken, before we dive into our the critical thinking topics, but where you've taken the business through 2015 and into 2016. I know you had membership throughout at least the very beginning of 2015. Then you started doing some workshops. Is there any lessons in there that you can sort of break down for our listeners?
Oh, man. So membership.
and remember, 2 old guys going
do we
at
have
it.
like 6 hours?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Membership. Did have that, dropped that one. I just started a new one around the online courses. It's actually launching this month. It was going to launch January 1st, but the move kind of put a hink in things, and well, that was delayed a bit. So I'm moving back onto that, and the workshops went really well. We can probably, when we talk a little bit more about workshops, I'll get into that, but I've had these sponsored workshops. but there has been some challenges lately with them. And so those I'm actually going to be dropping in 2016. I think, like I said, I have 1 or 2 left, but I may look at some possibilities down the road. I'm just not sure. So I'm taking it in a different direction. And I started in late 2015 doing paid reviews and documentation for vendors, designers, whatever. And what I've decided is to pull in that skill I have and what I've been doing forever and kind of go to that audience of the WordPress community rather than just users and see how that goes. The reviews have been going really well. So I'm doing that. And then I got some other things I think in 2016, going to get the podcast back up. I'm kind of dabbling around some more online live, whether, I don't know if it's webinars or what, but just kind of testing the waters, thinking through some stuff right now on that end of things. So I'm not sure where that direction will go, but hopefully it'll go somewhere soon.
Yeah, no, awesome. That's a great structure. Let's dive into the membership and courses stuff first, and the particular challenges, right? So if you are brand new to this concept of, hey, I'm somebody who wants to train people and I'm thinking about doing a membership, this doesn't even have to be WordPress related, right? It could be, if you spend 2 days like searching around internet marketing and how to start a membership course and how to sell your course, you're going to see some pretty crazy stuff, right? People are going to say things like, you can make, 7 figures selling your online course, right? Good luck to you, sir or madam.
Yeah, really.
Right? Because it's like trying to win the Powerball, right? It's everything that we see on the outside looks great, and it's an attractor to these particular marketers who are marketing these concepts. But what I've found, so let's set the premise. Memberships and courses are one way to make money. So you could have your particular niche in WordPress, or even for a particular plugin, because plugins are all huge ecosystems as well. Like WooCommerce is huge, right? It's as big as WordPress itself in terms of being able to create content and courses. So you might have your particular niche in this space, and you want to create a course or you want to create a membership. You get that recurring income coming in. It's beautiful. You either do it on a monthly basis, a yearly basis, or break it up somewhere in there between. But you got to create the content and you got to bring people to the website. It's no different than any business. You got to get your product in front of the customer, which is a particular challenge to itself. What I found, and maybe you can speak to this as well, is for memberships, I ran a small membership once. It's called Matt Report Pro. And it was very difficult for me to get members engaged and committed to interact with either the course material, the private community that I was creating, the forum, all of this stuff. This is about 1.5 years, almost 2 years ago. All of this stuff. It was very difficult to get them engaged. And that was the biggest thing that I saw, or the biggest challenge I saw in the membership. For me anyway, it wasn't creating the content, but it was getting the folks in the membership to engage with it, because it was only as valuable as the value of it was only as good as if they actually, read the stuff or watched the stuff or interacted. Is that the same case with what you had going on with your membership?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And actually, that's what, as odd as it seems, I'm avoiding this time because it's whether it's forums or, however you decide to get that interaction on the membership site, it's tough. And especially when you open up a forum and nobody's going in and doing anything and you're thinking, okay, and nobody wants to be the first one or something. And everybody's looking at it and freaking out and thinking, should I even say something? So that community is huge. And I think, that kind of what, going back to what you said too, was, everybody talks about building a site, building a membership site. It's so easy, building, and all those other, 10 things that you have to do prior to it. And after that, as far as marketing and building up a community, even to have join your membership before, it's kind of, if you have a community, move it over into your membership. But if you don't have a community when you start it, you're pretty much sunk in the water, because who's out there? Who's supporting you? Who's going to take it? I hate to say it, a chance with you. So, getting that community even build up before takes time and stuff. And I think a lot of membership sites don't do that beforehand, and that's why they fail. So so this time for me, it's just, I'm just putting in some content. I think we have a little bit different direction that I'm going. I've tweaked some things, which I can, talk about more, but the community is getting them engaged. It's tough. It really is. Everybody wants to talk, but they want to talk on Facebook. So, it's a lot of people are just creating groups there, which ends up being part of their membership, which is kind of, fragmented, but for some it works.
Well, yeah, you bring up a great point. So you have all those challenges that we talked about, right? Getting them engaged, wanting this stuff, wanting to learn, having the time to do all this stuff. But then there's the challenge of where are their eyeballs right now? And for a lot of folks, it's doing the work that they do, right? So whatever their day job is, doing that work. And then when there's a breathing moment, it's while they're on Facebook, decompressing or just killing time or whatever, or they're watching like Netflix or something else, or some kind of entertainment value that gets that takes a piece of their attention pie. So then it comes down to, God, now I have to go log into so-and-so's private WordPress site. It's not top of mind. It's not easily accessible. As easy as it is, it's not easily as accessible because it's not in Facebook. There's those particular technical challenges, which is interesting to me. I would also say, and maybe you have an idea on this, especially if somebody says, you know what, to hell with all this advice that you're giving us. I'm going to make a membership course or membership site. I think price plays a lot into this as well. And I think that when we price a course, we sort of say to ourselves, ooh, nobody's going to spend $100, or ooh, nobody's going to spend $500. God forbid somebody spends $5,000. But I think that the price has a super effect on the attention somebody gives to it. So if I'm going to spend $1,000 on something, I'm going to pay attention to it. If I spend $100 on something, given whatever your particular situation is, whatever that course for $100 offers, I might just not even get involved with it, and I actually might get upset at the fact that I spent $100 and didn't use it. But maybe it was because, well, it wasn't really enough of an investment for me, right?
Right.
Which hurts both of us, which hurts the person buying the course and it hurts the person running the course, right? So I guess what I'm getting at here is, do we just simply charge more money to get people more engaged? I mean, what are your thoughts on that particular?
And I went the single course route, but they were pretty simple courses and they weren't, I wasn't charging much. I think if you go with the single course route, you need to put some serious meat into it and charge the bucks. I think that's how it's going to succeed because, for example, I've thought of doing them myself, but what I do is so hard as an online course because there's so many variables with WordPress. There's just too many, everybody has different needs. So even when I've tried some stuff in the distant past, which was like that, it didn't really work for my particular audience and for my particular subject. But my courses, I'm just putting several of them on a membership. It's a lot cheaper. They're not massive courses or whatever. So if you're going to go with single online courses, I say make them meaty, make them, it's sure you have fewer people, but they'll be paying more. But if you're going to do, like me, I'm doing kind of, good, they got substance to them, but yes, people pay a membership and they can just go in and see which ones they want and stuff. But, I definitely think online courses, but as they sit singly otherwise they're just, everybody's just giving away. Here's my online course. Here's my free online course. I mean, I have a free online course I give away,
right? And which is a smart move, by the way. I mean, it's something that has to happen, I think, in order to transition into a paid membership for sure.
Right, exactly. So definitely.
And the other great point you bring up is it's not simply just raising the price and having the same old sort of stale course that you made 7 years ago. It's certainly associated with that is having high quality, a lot of great content. It doesn't have to be a ton of content. It just has to be so damn good that the person walks away with that actionable advice where they can say, I watched this video tutorial for 30 minutes and I know what the hell I'm doing now.
Right.
And it was worth $200, $300, whatever that price might be.
Yeah, and then I know with our online courses right now, we're doing kind of a mix of WordPress technical and content, because Judy, who's my wife and who is a writer, she's doing some content courses on how to write your bio, how to write effective headlines, things like that. And she's, of course, got the education background from way back, and she even puts in more of the, here's some kind of here's some homework for you to do,
sure,
something to go out and do. And that's kind of in her blood, because she's, that's what she did many years ago,
right,
as far as teaching. But yeah, you got to get people, to that extent. And we chose this time to go with just screenshots and text. I do a screencast, maybe if it seems like something I really need to show screencast, I'll do like a 2-minute screencast. But I went that route just because of keeping the course is updated. The videos will just kill you, time wise. So that was a major decision on my part to say, okay, it's easier to go in, snip a couple screenshots out, change the text, then recreate another whole video.
Yeah, I totally agree. Let's transition to the second one on our list here, which sort of plays well with memberships and courses, is in-person workshops. This is something that's very interesting to me as well, especially as I launch the first South Coast WordPress meetup here. I see the attraction of getting people in a room to show them how to do this stuff. And Clint Warren, God rest his soul, passed away last year, was an awesome workshop guy, right? I mean, he was holding workshops like every weekend, and he was really crushing it with that. I mean, I think the tickets he was selling were, $200 or $300 each, and he was getting roomfuls. Now, Clint is a much better looking guy than I am, taller, stronger. There's some attraction there, so that might have a play in it. But what's your take on workshops? You're saying you're winding down. This is another opportunity for folks to take selling WordPress education from online to offline. But you're saying you're winding it down. I think I know why, but fill us in on the challenges of workshops.
Yeah, give you a little history. I've been doing them for probably about 5 years in reality around here. And when I first did them earlier, they were free workshops. They were pretty much all around WordPress or blogging, and they were 2-3 hour workshops, and there's a lot of content I gave people. They weren't just a sales pitch, but I primarily did those as part of my marketing for my business, because I did get a lot of people come to me and need a site or need help with the site and stuff, just because they got there. This is great, but a lot of this is overwhelming. Please let me hire you, type of thing. And I did probably 120 workshops like that in a matter of 3 years. I just pumped them out, and it built up kind of a reputation locally, and so on and so forth. Then I started moving to paid workshops, and right away I realized, I'd given free workshops too, but when I was kind of the same way when I saw my meetups and everything I was going to, wow, all these people want to learn. Well, we in our power in the WordPress community have made education free, and everybody expects it. And very few people, I mean, there are some people, but there's very few that will actually pay. Yeah, they're like, huh? Why am I paying for this? There's all this free stuff. I can go to meetups or whatever. The other challenge I found with workshops was I did several of them. I did a few of them that were like day long, and they were more intensive, kind of build your site. I didn't promise a site in a day, of course, but it was, to really get in there and work. The issue with that is you had to keep getting it down to more and more of a niche, because everybody had different needs. So you were going off in 30 different directions, and people were, but I need to add this. And it became like, whoa, too much going on here. We're not, and it seemed like we'd get behind on things and stuff. So I kind of dropped that off. And then this last year, I thought, well, maybe what if I did workshops and I offered them free, and I got WordPress vendors and the people out there to sponsor them. Well, when I started that, they would pay an X amount of money, and I would do these workshops. I actually did a 6-hour Yoast workshop just on his. So there was kind of these generic ones I had some people sponsor, and then they could highlight their product. And initially they actually went really well. But then, I don't know, suddenly it started becoming that whole thing of nobody had any skin in the game. And I was getting a lot of last minute cancellations and no-shows. Just people, they didn't pay anything. And I would, I'd almost beat it in their head, not too much, but say, these sponsors have spent some money. This is not a big sales pitch. You're going to learn a lot. The people that did come came back to me when they found out I was going to be quitting them and said, wow, I'm really bummed because I learned about some plugins. I learned about some stuff I would have never used. I went out and bought them after the workshop because it was just exactly what I needed.
Right.
But there was a lot of people that were just, oh, yeah, I woke up, I'm hungover, I'm not going to go to Bob's workshop. Right. Or, whatever the case, they just start, and it was like...
Little did they know you were hungover, too.
Yeah. And I got there no matter what. But I thought it was unfair to sponsors. So I've worked with them to do some other stuff. But so I kind of go back, I've thought about the paid ones, and I see some people, as you mentioned, one example, I see a few people around different parts. I think there's a couple in Austin that has quite a bit of success, and some of them really do. They build these workshops, and they do make incredible amounts of money, but I decided, do I want to go back in that direction and really put that kind of energy into it? And I kind of, for now, I'm holding off. But I think there is potential there. You just have to find that right market, which is the toughest. The toughest thing is marketing workshops. That is because there's really, you just got to be out there constantly talking, and you got this target market. They got to live within, driving distance and stuff. So there's the marketing's the biggest challenge I had was doing that. So yeah, there's a lot of different variables there. I would never discourage anybody to do it, but really know that, I'll give you one more quick example. I can't tell you how many people have come to me wanting to, they say, Bob, can we talk about workshops because I'm doing them or I started them. And they said, the very first problem I have is I get there and 3 of the people don't have WordPress installed anywhere, or they've lost their password, and we spend the first 45 minutes of the workshop trying to get people organized, Yeah. So even that, and even if you send them 16,000 emails beforehand and tell them be prepared, there's going to be that one person that sits there and goes, huh? Right. and they hold things up. So there's all these different challenges. It's a art in itself.
Yeah.
And I think that, for a lot of your audience to get exposure, to get new clients, doing the kind of the free workshops really do well. When I had several people. If you have the venue and everything, it just, people do want that information and stuff, but you've got to expect that attrition because it can be, anybody that's running a meetup knows that, how many people sign up, how many people show up.
Sure. Right. So, yeah. No, so there's a lot to sort of digest in that one. One of the things is, and I'm right there with you. I think that you have to be in, because you're geofenced, right? You're locked in this location. It's the person has to drive there. There's probably no one's probably going to drive, especially to a free workshop. No one's probably going to drive an hour or beyond to get there. And I like the model. So just so the listeners know, the model you had going, which I thought was a great idea, was to have the sponsored workshops, i.e. Yoast pays you for your time with some profit built in for you to run the workshop. They get some exposure. They get you out there training on the use of their plugin. And folks come and they kind of learn this stuff. Now, the issue is because it's free, because it's paid for by the sponsors, they don't have the skin in the game, and by skin in the game, it's the person who's coming to learn this stuff. So right there, that's the challenge. I think it's a great business model, but the challenge is getting that person there, and I think you have to be in a highly trafficked location. Like when Clint was running his workshops, he lived outside of New York, but he was able to attract such a large crowd or go into New York City to hold these workshops, right? So he was able to get a lot of traffic that way.
Yeah. But just one more thing I want to throw in. I've forgot to mention is the challenge with charging for a workshop. And anybody that starts this is going to find that is if you are charging a fairly good chunk of money, you're going to find that people are more likely to purchase last minute.
Yep.
So you're freaking out 2 weeks before because nobody's signing up. You're wondering, okay, you have 2 signups and you think, am I going to do this workshop with 2 people? So you got to either cut it off, have a pre-cut off, like even a week ahead or something and whatever. And then you have to decide, okay, am I going to go with, I wanted 10 people. Now I have 2 people. Do I refund their money? I mean, there's all these other issues that come with the paid workshops as well. So they can be a challenge.
Yeah. I think so it's not to discourage people from doing workshops.
Oh, no. I say, give it a try because you never know. And I've had a lot of luck. It hasn't been all, agony in the last years,
right.
But I have had some really good luck with workshops too. So,
yeah. And I think that, if you're thinking, hey, I do want to take my online offline, you live in an area where you can get a lot of foot traffic coming in, or you just know that there's a larger community, even if you're not in a major metro area, you can find enough people to come to this event. And I would probably, just thinking about it on my own, of course, I've been doing consulting for 8 years now, so I have a lot of local businesses that obviously use WordPress.
Mm-hmm.
I would go right to the business maybe and see if there's staff that use it at a business or a school or whatever, an organization, nonprofit that can peel off a couple $100 from their accounting team to go and get some training on this stuff, and maybe that's a spin on it as well.
Right. And that's what I did it as well. I went to a lot of people and a lot of word of mouth too. People that did come to them, at least I used them to spread the word too. So yeah, that makes total sense.
Awesome. So we've covered membership and courses or membership courses and workshop courses, in-person workshop courses. Next up, and one that you mentioned that you're starting to see some good traction in is paid reviews, right? So this is where, and again, as a plugin creator myself, my own company, I've paid for reviews before in the past that work really well in terms of driving traffic. Some others don't work so well. And I have a lot to say about this, and I know you do as well. And in terms of paid reviews, it's a love-hate relationship for the reader, for the community, and even for it's a love-hate relationship all around for the person reading it, for the community at large, for the person who created the product, who's paying for a review, and for the person who's writing the review or recording the review. It definitely takes somebody who really knows this stuff, who's just not putting out blanket sort of crap, right? And I've been known not to make friends in this community before, and I'll just say it, right? So there are plenty of reviewers out there who just write everything, and it's like, hey, we're gonna really review this plugin today, and then the answer always ends up being, it depends, right? Do you want this? Yes or no? Just tell me what worked, what didn't. I want some some real opinion pieces in the WordPress space, and so my experience in this realm is I haven't done, actually I should say, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, I have finally signed the first paid review for the Matt Report. And I'm going to go into this later on in a separate podcast and a separate blog post, sort of why I'm getting into this space. Bob's going to actually allude to why he's getting into it today. I signed my first one. But we used to do this in the past on our studio YouTube account, where for creating content, we would compare plugins and compare them against each other, right? Not in a bad, malicious way, but in a real, like, here's how you use this stuff, and here's why it's going to be good or bad for you.
Right.
And I think that there's a lot of that content missing in the WordPress blogging space at large. I think that it makes total sense, because if you're somebody like Bob or myself or many others that are out there who put out good quality WordPress training, education with a solid opinion, and they're well-known people, good people, then and they've built an audience, and because it takes freaking time. Let me repeat that for those of you who are listening, who are ready to build your blog and or podcast, it takes freaking time, right?
Right.
I've got this quote sort of rambling around in my head that I've been thinking about tweeting out, and it goes something like this: I'm dumb enough to want to win tomorrow, but I'm smart enough to realize it takes years.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So I'm dumb enough that I why am I not winning right now? I want winning numbers right now. But the other side of me
instant
says,
gratification.
Right. The other side of me knows it takes time. And in order to access the audience, which is so valuable to myself and to somebody like Bob, in order to access that, it's not going to come free unless you're putting out some amazing work. And I feel compelled to write about your unique situation. But if you're bringing me another contact form plugin or another image gallery plugin, and you want a review, it's going to come at a cost because, number one, the review that I give you is going to help make your product better. It's like hiring me to review your product, literally to review your product and give you feedback. And second, you get access to an audience on a blog and a podcast that trusts what I have to say because I run a WordPress business and I have been for 8 years. So I'll get off my soapbox, Bob, and I will let you discuss your reasoning for paid reviews.
Yeah, for me, it's a bit different. Well, it's actually quite a bit different because when I was actually encouraged, and somebody suggested to kind of put this in my brain, a guy named Matt that I know that has this podcast. Anyway, but I've been doing this stuff on my blog for several years, and that's it. I do tutorials. I do, I talk about plugins, themes, whatever, and I've loved doing it. And I thought, well, maybe I should see if I can make some money doing this. And my approach is a bit different because, I had thought of how am I going to do this? Is it going to be a review of, it's kind of like the Bob style of review. And Bob's style of review is I'm not going to sit there and glorify it, and I'm not going to, beat it down to death either in whatever way. My review is more of, here are the features. Let me tell you what this thing does. Every once in a while, I'll kind of throw in a little, you may want to use this feature because of this, or this is a nice feature that I haven't seen in a theme before. So I think this is kind of a cool little option here, that type of thing. So I'm kind of doing not really a tutorial, but in a way it's kind of a tutorial review that I'm just digging in and showing you everything this does. Right. I'm not giving huge opinions one way or another, but most of my audience doesn't want me to. They're kind of used to my style already, and so mine's a bit different than, of course, the direction you're going, which I think there is a lack of that in a lot of these reviews and stuff. So some people are just or they just sugarcoat things or whatever, and sometimes I do get a couple of them were by people I knew initially that right away bought a review when I announced it. Basically, the day I started pushing it, and I knew they had great products, and I was happy to review them and stuff. So my reviews are a bit different. I've done about 3 or 4. I'll be doing one on a theme that next week. This guy Matt, I know too.
All these Matt guys.
Yeah, this is this Matt guy. Actually, it's the same guy, but anyway, I digress. Yep. But I realized that I'm going to kind of have my own style. I think it will probably transform over time, and I may get a little bit more digging into that part of it, or that kind of that perspective you're talking about. But right now I'm kind of, playing the waters. So far they've gone really good. I'm getting quite a few people coming to me. I was going to vet them out initially, think, okay, pick and choose. And I thought, well, no, that's not fair either. So I'm just going to, I'm going to dive into these things and tell you, this is what this does. And you do need to make the decision, like you said, whether you're going to use it or not. But I'm trying to show you all the guts to say, or do you need all this? I just did a theme review yesterday, And I said, this has a lot of features, but hey, maybe not everybody needs all this stuff. This is for that person that blah, 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 and stuff.
Right.
So yeah, it's fun. I'm enjoying them. And yeah, it basically, I was thinking, why not make money on this? And it's become a kind of I shouldn't say this, but it's become a nice little fence for me too, because I probably get as many as 10 people asking me to review their plugin or theme a week, maybe more. Now when they send me something, I just send them back a link to this and say, hey, I'll do it. And sometimes it's a new free plugin, their first one. I know they're not going to fork out the money, but at least tell them that. And like you, I will continue to also talk about products on my site that aren't paid reviews, just because they're plugins, themes, whatever that I've come across, and I just want to share anyway. So it's kind of like, deal with it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. And one of the things that I think is so important is the reputation that you and I have established, and many others. Again, there are many other people out there who blog and do reviews and do affiliate stuff, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, that are well-respected, individuals. And I think that's what the person has to pay, that the person with a product looking for a review has to pay for. And understand, number one, that you are getting a review based on this person's, what do you call it? I'm losing the words now. That this person's reputation and sort of their characteristics. That's the word I'm looking for. Their characteristics.
Yep, exactly.
And that's very important, because, you shouldn't expect, as a product owner out there, just, you're not just buying a link and just say only nice things about me, or, only point out the good stuff, or write it this way. That's not going to happen. There's the WordPress space isn't big enough for that kind of political tug of war that's out there, right? So the other thing you mentioned is it's been a great way to create some income. And a lot of people in the WordPress community are going to say, "Ooh, boy, paid reviews," right? Like other people say, like, you have to declare that it's a paid review, and I'm totally for that. Like, this is a sponsored post, as to say that somebody paid me to write this review. But there's no shame, at least there's no shame in my game, for saying, I want to make some money off of this. Right? Oh, yeah, exactly. Because that's what this whole, number one, that's what this whole conversation is about, is how can you make money in this place as a WordPress educator or blogger. Again, you've worked so hard to build up this audience and a property, it's worth money. Second, again, like I said before, product owners can use this as a little R&D, as a little research and development on how their product is in the real world. And it's very valuable. So like when a customer comes to us for custom WordPress work, and if they don't fall into our budget range, I provide them a few links and a few other resources, or maybe some other freelancers that I know could service these folks, right? So I don't want them just, you don't have enough money, you can't work with us, see you later, bye, right? All right. Same thing when, like you, I get people emailing me asking for reviews. I don't want to just say, no, I don't do it, bye. Now I say, yeah, I'll do it. Here's the price. Here's what you're getting for it. To offer them something. And whether or not they want to pay for it is totally up to them, of course. But it's better than me saying, no, I don't do them at all because I don't want to be in this game. And second, I think getting paid for it provides value for everybody involved. So that's what I have to say on paid reviews.
Yeah, exactly. And that's true. And to me, it's like, I can't do every review. Even the people I would like to do a review for, I can't, because humanly it's not possible with all the stuff. So I'm giving some people an opportunity to be pushed up above everybody else and to get a guaranteed, spot on my blog. So, and some people are willing to pay for that if you've built up that reputation and that readership. Yeah.
And I like that word, guaranteed spot on the blog, because it's probably not to say, same thing with you, with me and you, like if I come across a product or a plugin or a theme that I really like, I'll write about it, right? If it's so unique and it's doing something that I think is really good or really different, then I'm going to write about it. But it's not guaranteed.
Exactly.
If you pay me, and there are some criteria that is met, then, then you have a guaranteed spot, right?
Right.
I really like that. So far we have membership courses, workshops, paid reviews, and what kind of goes off the tail end of paid reviews is affiliates, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the next way that folks can make money. It could be an entire podcast about that. There could be an entire podcast about any of these topics, but affiliates, for one, is another one of those love-hate relationships from folks all around the community. I am, I just getting into affiliate links like SiteGround, really happy with their service. People are always asking me about hosting, so I have a banner on my site for SiteGround. I have nothing bad to say about them so far, and that's the way it works.
Right.
I get great service. People are always asking me where to host, and I say that. And if their particular requirements fit the need of a great shared web host for WordPress. So in your experience of affiliates, how is that going for you? How do you sort of feel about affiliates? How do you declare if it's an affiliate link or not? Do you? What are your thoughts on affiliates?
It's interesting because I've written a couple blog posts about it, and I used to have a page with kind of trusted products, and I kind of removed that for whatever reason. But I've been doing affiliates for a while, and I really sucked in the beginning because, it was nice because every once in a while I'd get some money for gas or lunch, and it was kind of cool. And I'd put a few, ads on the side or whatever. And my initial, when I first looked at them, I thought, this kind of seems scummy. Everybody wants money for me to click through this, whatever. But as I got into more and more, I thought, okay, first of all, I've always been, people kind of know, okay, when I do an affiliate, it's this product I've used and I trust it. I don't ever do a product that I haven't touched just because I can make a few bucks. I had a bad experience with somebody in the WordPress community by clicking through an affiliate on their site for a service to do some fixes on a WordPress site, refer to client. They came back with a horrible experience, basically kind of bitched me out about it, even though they understood it was somebody else's, issue. And I responded to them and said, hey, did you know this happened? And it was like, anyway, it was just really a weird thing. So what I did is I started, I pulled off, I basically, about a year ago, I pulled off all my banner ads, except every once in a while I'll do one for like WP Engine if I have something going on there in this one sidebar or something. But I just pulled them all off and I started incorporating them into posts. Now, people knew that they kind of knew my policy behind them, or they would, not hesitate to use them. And I would just integrate them into a post, and my income went up incredibly by doing that, which is nothing new, or it's not, like rocket science because other people are doing it. But I didn't just, pound them with, do a post with, 10 different affiliate links in it. I find where it's appropriate. I've gone back into past posts and put them in where it's appropriate. And again, I think it's that building that trust. People that come to my site figure I'm not some lunatic or something, or I guess they kind of, don't think that I'm just out there just trying to make money. And a lot of people, I make it clear that, hey, this, I have it in the footer. That's where I have it right now. Down on my footer, it's kind of in small print. And, I thought this does it for now because I've talked enough about why I use affiliates and how they work for me. And I also, the reviews, of course, I will put those in because I'm reviewing it. And, that does help the income go up. And I do have affiliates in my online courses too, which helps the income on those online courses. So it's just using them strategically and not just making it spammy. And, everybody, every time I get if it's not the plugin, it's 20 emails a week. Will you please join my affiliate program? And most of them I ignore now, unfortunately, because I just can't spend all the time responding. But there was sometimes I'd say, what? I don't even know your product. Why am I going to, try to push your product? And they go, oh, well, I'll have you try it. But so it's been over the years, and the last year my income's really gone up in that realm of affiliate links, and it's been great. And I've built, just to kind of let you know, I built up the trust where I get somebody that will email me, that knows me, that is going to go buy something, and they'll ask me if I have an affiliate link they could use.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, that's great. So yeah, certainly a great position to be in. You mentioned something earlier about how we as WordPress educators or bloggers in this industry have sort of shortchanged ourselves, which is no different than any of us, right? And in the plugin space, creating plugins or themes, we've set the price barrier so freaking low to literally free in most cases that I think a lot of these people, like I mean the emails that I get sometimes are just ridiculous, right? Like, hey, heard you have like a lot of WordPress entrepreneurs listening to your podcast. You should really look at my product, or you should really have me on your show because of my product. Like, what? Like, no, right? Like, I want more audience. I don't like call up, I don't know, the New York Times and say, you guys really need to put me in the front page of New York Times because, I know a lot about WordPress. Not to say that I have the same, reach and clout as New York Times, but you kind of get the idea. Like, some of this stuff is like, did you take a marketing 101 course or business development 101 course or hell, a human 101 course? Like, that's how you ask? Absolutely not. But, and it's because, the whole, like, this is very philosophical, but the whole WordPress journalism thing, it's not like Silicon Valley or like TechCrunch and The Verge and Recode, and there's so many properties out there where you can be highlighted and written about or interviewed because the industry just isn't that big, right? There's not enough money at play because we're selling things for $50, $100, whereas these other places are getting millions in investments and there's bigger money at play, right? So I don't want to say we're like an amateur level, but it sort of feels like it sometimes with the prices that we charge and the way that people conduct business.
Right.
And, I say that because, again, it's about building that trust, not just spamming your site full of affiliate links and recommending those that at least you have had good experiences on. I'm writing a post, which is, delayed by about 15 days. It was supposed to be out at the beginning of the month, recommending my WordPress web host that I use. And there's 3 of them. I mentioned SiteGround for shared hosting. There's Pagely for anybody looking for a higher grade of managed WordPress hosting. And then there's sort of the real inexpensive do-it-yourself DigitalOcean, right? Those are the 3. And I feel like you really can't recommend more than 4, maybe 5 web hosts out there. And then anything beyond that, as I started to write my review, I got into this rant about affiliates and about because I feel like when I'm writing these posts, I'm educating people how to make the right decisions. And I don't want them to stumble upon some affiliate-driven blog post at the top of Google when they search for best WordPress host 2016, and then they land on a site that has like 12 hosts.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
How can you recommend all of these hosts? In what world do you have the context of 12 different hosts that you might fit into? I've been doing this for 8 years, and I think that there's only 3, if maybe 4 scenarios, unless you have a super bad experience with somebody, which happens, then there's an alternative somewhere. But I just really can't see anybody recommending more than that, other than just trying to get a cash grab at affiliate links, and that's it. That's it, in my mind.
Yeah, and that's true, because it is. I mean, I don't, I like to do single posts on single products at a time, not the top 10 plugins and the top. And another thing is, I think that sometimes, especially if you're in this WordPress core community, and I know you and I both always admit we have our opinions about community and different things and stuff that goes on. Some of the people in that community will get on their soapbox and start talking about affiliates. Oh, should we really use them? But what we don't realize is that so you're just writing for that community, and that's the only people that are coming to your blog. most users and people out there have no problems at all clicking an affiliate link. They don't sit there and think you're scum. If you have a couple of them in there on a product you're talking about, hey, so we get a little too focused on all these soapbox and the WP drama and all that stuff. If somebody goes off on a real tangent and don't kind of, think of reality beyond the bubble and realize that, this is it's like you said, are we so special in WordPress that we shouldn't make any money and offer everything free?
Right.
No, we should make money like other businesses, and our audience a lot of times are beyond that bubble anyway, and they're willing to spend their money in different ways. So
absolutely. I mean, if you're somebody listening to this and you read sort of because the holidays just passed, but if you are reading holiday guides from The Verge and they're telling you to buy an iPhone, you'd be on crack to not believe that they're not getting an affiliate off of that. Of course they are, right? Of course they are.
Exactly.
The Wirecutter, which is a very popular site, I believe specifically states that they get affiliate. I believe. I could be wrong, but I think they all link to Amazon based on affiliate fees, and that's how they make some of their money, right? Along with advertising, which we're about to get into. But it's just one of those things. Again, we sort of taken a little tangent on the old philosophical WordPress trail, but I think because of this open source community and literally you can see the code on everything, that there's always has to be this transparency, and if you're clicking that link, you need to tell people that because you're making money, and money is bad. At what point are we making money?
Yeah.
Where do you live that you don't need to make rent, right? Because I want to move there, right? God.
Exactly.
All right. Last but not least, on how to make money in this crazy world is advertising and sponsorship. Outside of sort of the review scene. You sort of mentioned before that your workshops were sponsored, which I thought was really cool. People could sell sponsorship like I have before when I did the Matt Report Startup Challenge. People sponsored that particular episode of the podcast. Of course, podcasting is well known for advertising and sponsorships, doing some read-ins and stuff like that. Direct ad sales. Our good friend Tom McFarlane sells ads on his blog through... of course I'm going to forget. I think it's buytosellads.com. That's a very, sort of traditional way of making money online is putting advertisements on your website. Of course, you have to have the traffic just like everything else. Have you dipped into this area at all, aside from the sponsorship workshops?
I haven't and I do get a lot of people get all these emails. I keep talking about them, but people, can we buy advertising space? I don't have it out mentioned on the site anywhere, but they're just sending me anyway. It's something that I just haven't done, and I don't know if it's something with just how I've had my site for so many years. I personally, everything kind of is going in the right direction for me right now with how, through affiliate and stuff, that my site just doesn't, it feels like something will change dramatically if I start just putting up ads on it.
Right.
There's something, and that's kind of a weird way to say it because, putting ads, within posts and stuff, and a lot of people do that. Selling ads, I've toyed with it. It's been one of those back and forth things, and who knows? I never say never. So sure. It could happen, but I'm still, I just haven't quite, I don't know. There's something that has pulled me back from it for a while. And then I don't know if I'll, cause I know there are a lot of people who are very successful with that.
Sure.
And I think it's a good route to go. I think, like you said, most people think it's easy to do, and they think, okay, if I put it up and they hardly have any traffic, you gotta, a lot of these ads, what you got. I mean, if you have somebody advertise on your site, you got to deliver and say, hey, this is how many they want to track and see how many people are clicking through. I mean, there's all these other pieces to it. And then if you are, doing any kind of other ads, you got to have enough traffic, because some of those ads pay very little, some of them, per click or per sale or whatever. And so there's a whole strategy to it that I just haven't quite dove into yet.
Yeah. Same here. Short of the podcast, I haven't done any direct ad sales. Again, I know people who do it, like a Tom McFarlane, who sell those direct ads through buy to sell ads. But he's blogging every day, and that's sort of his thing, right? That's sort of his thing. Again, I'm more I would love to blog more. I try to. I've got a whole bunch of stuff drafted that I just never finish. And my thing is just, turning on the microphone, hitting record, and just pushing that stuff out. And I don't really, even when I did the spots, the advertised spots, I never really released my traffic, my stats. Honestly, I don't even track it. I don't care. Right?
Yeah.
The things that come to me, like the other day, I'll give a listener shout out. Maybe he's listening, is Adam Carter, who don't know who he is, but he tweeted to me the other day, love the show, says it's part of his morning routine now. Those things are awesome. And so long as I get one of those every couple months, I'm happy. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care how many people are listening. I know, when I go to WordCamps, and when I go to events, my local WordPress meetup, I don't push, like even on my personal Facebook page, I don't even push my own business. And somebody at the meetup said, I listened to your podcast, and he was an older guy. And I couldn't believe it. And I was like, wow, like really? I didn't even know. Like, how did you find me? Right?
Yeah.
You found me like everybody else. And it was just crazy to see that. So as long as I know that that's still happening, that's what matters to me. And on the flip side, selling advertisements against that, it's just like we were saying, this space isn't big enough, I don't think. And again, there's going to be a lot of people out there that are probably like going to be upset about this, but I don't think this space is big enough to just measure metrics against how many visitors do you get. That's how much I'm going to pay you in advertising, because I think that this tightly woven community is very much word of mouth. What is Bob like? What is Matt like? What is Brian like? What is Carrie like? Those are the things that matter exponentially versus how many visits we get, right?
Right.
Because the people we are influencing and we are providing information on are qualified buyers for the most part, and that should be more valuable to somebody wanting to sponsor or advertise with us, or anybody listening to this right now who's putting out good content in the WordPress space. That should be more valuable than, am I buying an ad on CNN.com and I need to see 30,000 page views in a month or whatever. No, that stuff doesn't really happen. Short of the super highly trafficked sites, that are doing it for SEO traffic and traffic numbers, which do exist.
Yeah.
So to summarize all this stuff, let me rifle through the list one more time.
Yeah.
We went membership, ways to make money as a WordPress educator or blogger in this space, membership courses, workshops, affiliate links, paid reviews, and then direct advertising and sponsorships in some way. We're running out of time. It's been a long episode here, but one of the other things, and I'll just hit on it real quick, and I put a question mark next to it, is community. Perhaps you can build a community around a particular vertical or niche in WordPress, and without doing links and without doing paid reviews and stuff like that, and build a community, let's say on Facebook or on Slack or something like that. Not even membership driven, no transaction happening, but what you're doing is sort of beefing up your presence or your authority on that particular topic, and then maybe somebody comes to hire you for that throughout, right? This is sort of an evergreen, longer term approach. You're probably harder to measure money being exchanged, but that might be another way as well.
Yeah.
The other thing that I'm hearing, and we'll end on this, is I think if you're just starting out in this space or you're 6 to 8 months in it, one of the things you might want to think about is diversifying, right? Doing an online membership, trying some workshops, getting out there with some affiliate links. I don't think any one of these, again, unless you're in the 1% of traffic sites, I don't think any one of these will fully fund your endeavors. I think you have to look at this stuff and say, where can I diversify? Can I do an online and offline workshop and at the same time make some money on the back end with affiliate links? Can I start a podcast and do sponsorships and do paid reviews like the Matt Report or something like that? I think you have to find a good mix to really make it a full-time business in this space today. Is that a fair assessment, Bob?
Oh yeah, exactly. And you know me, Matt. I mean, we've been friends for quite some time, and I'm constantly, if something doesn't work, it's gone. It's history. I don't sit there and look at it and wallow and think, oh, what can I do to make it better? Okay, this is gone. Bye-bye. And then I look at something else, and I'm constantly doing that. And I've been in business, for over 20 years. And still, I just, there's things, okay, this is working, this isn't working. What's something new I can pull in? And yeah, you got to diversify. You got to have these different things that work for you. And there's going to be a lot of hit and miss. And yeah, I'm sure you've said it in hundreds, if not thousands of your episodes or whatever, that, it's, you got to keep trying. And, nothing just is perfect right off and stuff. So I totally agree.
Absolutely. Bob, this has been an amazing episode. I hope folks listening to this found some new light in making some money as a WordPress educator or trainer. If you've got a different way that maybe we didn't mention, leave a comment on the blog post here, or just tweet to us. I'm at Matt Report on Twitter. And Bob, where can folks find you on the web?
You can find me at BobWP on Twitter, bobwp.com. Google BobWP and you'll find me.
Yeah, so just Google Bob, right?
Yeah, right.
Just Google Bob. You might find Bill Murray, but you might also find Bob Dunn. He's a great guy. And check him out. It's bobwp.com. Got a great new theme headed up there, my friend. Looking great, looking sharp.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Yeah.
But ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us. If you want to contribute to the show, go ahead and search for us in iTunes. Leave a 5-star review. It would be amazing. You don't even have to write a review. You don't have to type anything, but we'd love to hear from you. Search for us in iTunes. Give us a 5-star review. That'd be great. Thanks, everybody.